Welcome to Spirit's Journey, coming to you live on Truth Frequency Radio and simulcast on Oneness Talk Radio. Your hosts are Patrick and Kathryn Andries.
Join us each week as we explore a wide range of metaphysical topics such as dreams, astrology, intuitive readings, and life purpose. You'll receive practical guidance so that you can live your most awesome life.
Learn more about what we do at intuitiveschool.com and connect with us on Facebook at Spirit's Journey Radio. Welcome to Spirit's Journey. We are coming to you live on Truth Frequency Radio. We're also simulcast on Oneness Talk Radio. You can find us on iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and TalkStream Live, among others. We're here in the Heartland holding the energy for spiritual truth and awareness. I'm Patrick.
And I'm Kathryn. Welcome, everyone. Well, I'm so excited to be talking today to Michelle Howe. And I'm going to tell you a little about her. She's quite interesting. She's an evolutionary guide, an awakening speaker, and a master healer. She's the founder of Empath Evolution and the curator of the Empath Evolution community for those that embrace her evolutionary path. So Michelle is a powerful channel of high vibrational healing energies, and you're probably going to feel it right coming through the radio channels today. Her mission is to educate and empower those who are naturally intuitive and introspective, who push through situations to uplift others, yet they are mentally drained, emotionally exhausted, or empty on the inside. This may be you, we're going to find out today. She teaches her clients to be intentional, to claim their own feelings, release emotional pain, and embrace their own evolution through private bundles, specialized trainings, and online events. Michelle is here to tell us how she helps her clients improve the quality of their life by achieving success on the inside. So welcome, Michelle.
Thank you.
Hi, Michelle.
Well, we are so excited for you to be here, and it's always interesting to me, and I'm sure to everybody listening, who are you behind all the credentials and the trainings and the amazing things that you have done, and how did you get on this path?
Well, that's a really big question. Who am I? You know, I can define myself, I can label myself several different ways, but I am just a regular woman who always was a little bit deeper when she looked at the world, even as a young girl in my teens and whatnot. I was always like a step back watching things going on. And I always had a knowing, but I didn't really know that that was anything different. It just was me. And it was like in my early teens that I would come home totally needing to relax, get something to eat. The day had been stressful and I didn't really know what was going on with me. I just felt out of sorts. And then in the evening, as I started you're looking at your mental health, you're looking at how you're feeling. I recognized that if I was writing, I would feel better. So it was like a way of release. And I never really thought much about it. I could see I needed to do these things. And then, I went to college, and college was a little crazy. I always carved out time for me, but always struggling in some way. There was always like more effort into just feeling good. And I never put two and two together until, I had children, and still I had anxiety in the morning, and, we'd have time where things were calmer, so I would be better. So it was almost like I was always reading, always looking to improve myself, always looking for what I was missing. Always there was something I needed to put, whether it be exercise in the mix, writing in the mix. I needed to kind of manage my life because I didn't always feel good. So, put that together with the fact that I'm pretty intentional to begin with and goal-oriented, and I wanted to do so many things. I could never truly figure out why I felt out of sorts. And, why my moods were what my moods were, why I had anxiety for no reason, because my life was not stressful. So it wasn't until I was around 40, and after I had had quite a career already as a CPA, as a business plan person, everyone would think that I would be very logical, which I was very logical. But on the backside, and nothing that I advertised, was the fact that I also needed to kind of keep my world very small because I wasn't always interested in people or interested in that scene. And it wasn't until I was about 40 that I really had enough of an experience come my way that I had to go back and look what is going on. And that's when I discovered all these things about energy, empath, and the capacity to feel and be impacted by what's around you. So I don't know if I answered your question, but that is a little bit of my history coming to like today. And then it was like at age 40, all of these things that I had always known a lot of things, and I had always gravitated towards metaphysical things. It just didn't fit my logical business background, but it was stored in me. I was always looking at it. I was always looking at patterns. I could tell you patterns immediately, whether they were in the numbers of accounting or in people. So it's funny because at one point I recognized that as much as I could see someone's business plan and I could see what was going on with their financials and I could give them advice, I was more interested in that person. And all the other things they were doing were incidental to the fact that that person was the most important thing in that room with me. So yeah, it was like little things like that. And there's more to the story, but that gives you a little bit. So in total, I would say I'm a mother. I'm a professional woman. I'm an intellectual. I'm also very open and have embraced my spiritual path quite a bit. So that's what my hope is with Empath Evolution, is to share some of this knowledge with people that may think it's nothing, but it is so much of what we are is spiritual. We just don't necessarily, we kind of put it into that religion box instead of as an overall. This is more than just what's visible. This is more. So I don't know. Did I answer that okay?
Oh, you did. And what I liked about it, and when I was on your website, is, you really describe yourself in a way that if somebody is aligned with that, like I can totally see myself in you. I never thought of myself as an empath, but I have similar things. Like I can be very logical. I, mastered in business education, and but I moved away from that. And so I love how you're showing women that they can go from a very corporate, left brain, logical career to something as right brain as an empath and healer. And what a wonderful combination, because as we know, so many people in the metaphysical field who have no business experience fail at doing their own business. And so you really have an amazing combination that you've been able to blend together. And I think really that will be so inspiring for so many women, myself included, how you've been able to blend the business with the metaphysical and that it is possible.
Absolutely. And I'd like to just add, there are a lot of men. There are a lot of men. For some reason, I have attracted quite a few of them, and immediately there are huge results. So I think they're in the minority as far as coming to the table and being interested in this, but I think they're watching and they're there, and this is for them just as much as it is for women. And as far as blending, yes, the business world with the metaphysical world, it's important that language gets streamlined a little bit so people that are corporate aren't so put off. As a matter of fact, recently I was hired to do 3 webinars for the wellness department of a corporate client. And I have a husband who's very logical, very corporate. So I had these 3 things. It was dealing with fear, dealing with emotions, and then dealing with change. They hired me on because their organization was going through so much stuff back in December, January, that they recognized that their people needed help. So as I'm putting this together, I want to talk the metaphysical language, right? People, those are my people. They know all this. And my husband and my son are like, let me hear what you got, Mom. I'm like, okay, let's see. And I started talking, and they took notes and they paid attention. And then they gave me some really good feedback as far as what they would consider, what would come into them and what they could accept And that was priceless, actually, because it's helping me streamline the language so that there's not this immediately, no, this is a bunch of malarkey. I'm not listening to this. Because what I found is a lot of people in business in this time, everybody is struggling with something. They're looking for a solution, and they don't have to buy all these concepts and thoughts. They don't have to dive into the pool, into the deep end. They could take a step or two into the water. Here are some tools. See what this feels like to you. As long as I have an open person and they're looking for a solution, there are solutions that are outside of that box. So that's my goal.
So you talked about helping empaths, and I imagine that's part of the empath evolution that you do. And I know you've talked about a little bit about it, but could you share with us what exactly is empath evolution?
Well, so empath evolution, my vision, my gosh, if I told you my vision is pretty broad for it, but empath evolution is to introduce this topic of sensitivity, I don't even want to use the word sensitivity, feeling, quality, tune into who you are, have success on the inside, see what that actually means when you go a little bit deeper, because everybody I know is chasing success on some level. They want to feel good about their life. And you know what? Life didn't come with a blueprint that said this is how you feel good about life. So a lot of people they follow what they've seen. They think everything good comes from the outside. They've got to get this in order to feel that. And empath evolution is more like, I'm going to be there for you. I'm going to introduce what sensitivity looks like, because I think a lot of people don't understand that energetically they're getting impacted by the people around them, by the thoughts and emotions that they haven't expressed or that are, hidden within them. So if people want to improve the quality of their life, they have to be able to take a look at who they are. That's it. And they can chase things all day long, and they can have goals all day long, and they can compromise. And even I've seen some people totally, I will undercut myself, or that's not really the right word, but almost like you're selling yourself. You want this safety and security in your life, and you go and you gravitate to somebody that might have this shiny object that they give you. So it's like you're selling your happiness, parts of your soul away, because that person isn't really, good for you. It's not really helpful to you. So empowerment is about having people understand their own power to direct their own life and make those choices and feel good. They don't have to feel the negative that's around them. They don't have to bury things. They can totally shift their lives when they take another look at it, and they intentionally make changes intentionally. And when they move towards that quality as opposed to quantity, right? That quality, everything changes for them, because now, feeling good is truly, it's a feeling, it's a vibe, it's maybe you can say an emotion, but it's being comfortable in your own being and recognizing that life is not, a stroll down the road. There's lots of different roads, and some of them are really not paved. They'll give you a flat tire if you go down that road, and others are a little bit simpler for you. But so it's like, I want to bring people to a place where they see the gift of being empathic, and they see how they can navigate it without as much pain or struggle. And they can actually be a gift to other people in the process of doing that.
And I loved how you talked about making intentional changes, because I think a lot of the people we work with, and we do a lot of dream work, that reveals a lot of us feel that things are happening to us, that we're victims. Yeah. And rather than, the opposite is making intentional change instead of waiting for things to happen to you through the universe. And so before we go on, I wanted to talk about what is an empath, because actually on your website, which is empathevolution.com, for anybody who wants to explore you further, you have an empath quiz, which I haven't taken yet, but I'm going to do it. But you also had 5 keys that describe an empath. And I wondered if you could talk about some of those, because I didn't realize I was an empath. I always considered myself more intuitive, but I matched up on all these things. So do you want to let the audience know what some of those empathic qualities are?
Well, there are a lot of empathic qualities. The top one, and I always tell people, they don't recognize this per se, but if people tell you their stories, you are able to uplift them. You are empathic. You are in that sharing. You're exchanging energy and you're uplifting them. Like, it's almost like, how I define an empath is someone that, whether they realize it or not, their aura is finer. They're lighter. They're brighter. They're able to support and help other people around them. Just with a mere phone call, you hear their voice, you hear their words, you're uplifted. Not everybody has that degree of giftedness, if you want to say it that way. Many people are just kind of matter of fact, very neutrally charged. Empaths have the capacity to uplift others. They have the capacity to absorb and feel into the emotions of others or into a space or an environment. Now, there's a double-edged sword there. This is what they're able to do. But if they don't know they're able to do this, they can overwhelm their system and not take care of who they are or what this actually means for them. And they can end up depressed, anxious, because they don't know that they're picking up things around them. They're uplifting the environment. They're uplifting people. So then they, and the other hard part about being an empath, which there's good things, the hard part is because you can feel into people and their pain, you want to fix it. Because it's not comfortable for you, especially if you're all the way on high volume of feeling other people's things. It's not comfortable for you to be there. You want to fix it. And it kind of ropes you into helping other people and focusing so much outward all the time, outward. And is it our job to fix other people? The answer to that is no. We can help people, but we don't fix people. But people don't really need to be fixed. People need to step into their next potential. People need empowerment. They don't need to be fixed. So it's gauging those traits of an empath and finding a place where you're not you're not caught into this world of pain that you see all around you. Because really, if you're feeling that much, a lot of people struggle and they never tell anybody that they're struggling. But if you're tuned into it, you can tell immediately there's something wrong with them. And, that whole emotional side of society nowadays, always really, people are not comfortable with it, especially like more so now, maybe my generation is a little bit better with it. My father's generation and the generations before that, nobody's talking about emotions. Nobody's talking about clearing or healing. They're simply stuffing things away. They're simply reactive to things. And I don't know. They don't even know how to communicate it. I can tell you that, even as an adult myself now, I can see the struggle because I never really put words to it before. It was never allowed. It's not seen as something relevant or important. But it is important because when you think there's something wrong with you, and I don't want to feel these emotions and I don't want to feel all this or all that, let me put myself in my thinking. Let me put my thinking cap and ignore the rest of these things. It's a lopsided approach to life, and you fail to truly integrate all of who you are together. So then it's like you're hiding things. So not that people intentionally do this. This is just how we have moved into the world. This is what we've seen people do. And now it's like, guess what? You have so much of that you can handle, and then you break down. Like a lot of empaths have definitely gone to the psychologist for help. They have, because they think they're a little crazy. They are overwhelmed. They feel like there's something off with them. I can go on, but as far as like counseling and that kind of help, when I went through my awakening, which I haven't gone into yet, but I thought there was something, so I couldn't understand what was wrong with me. I was on a roller coaster of emotions. And all because I got really connected to somebody that wasn't in my inner circle. And that brought on such a huge amount of, there was internal conflict on my side. There was like this huge love. There was this amazingness that I was experiencing, not recognizing that I was an empath, not knowing that was even a thing. And, after the fact, I had to pull back, and depression set in and all kinds of things set in. And I'm like, you know what? Were all those my feelings? Like, what was actually going on with me? And I had to, when you see yourself in that kind of position, you help yourself through it. And I moved through it. It was like, it was a dark night of the soul. Many people use that word. And I was smart, right? I knew what to do and what not to do, but you're pulled in so many different directions when your feelings, when you're going through something that you don't quite understand, you feel out of control. And I remember at one point, I'm usually very organized, I know what I'm doing. Well, this experience threw me totally for a loop. And I remember looking in the mirror saying, hold on a second. I said, why? What is going on? I'm like, where is Michelle? I'm like, because this would not be going on, because I'm very safe oriented. I have always conducted myself very carefully. And then I looked in the mirror and I said, who is Michelle? Like, who is she? Because I had discovered so many different sides of me that I didn't even know were part of the equation. So that was my awakening experience. And a lot of people go through it. They have different explanations for it, and the point of me telling you all that is because after this happened to me, I actually went to the psychologist and I said, help me understand what's going on. There's something wrong. Like, I can't put, I went through this experience. I don't know what to make of it. And the lady was very nice. Actually, I tried 2 different ladies. They were very nice. And then at one point I left and I'm like, no offense, but I could psychoanalyze you up and down. This has got nothing to do with what you're telling me. And then I went into the metaphysical world and I found what everything was. So it was able to give me direction and meaning. It satisfied what I had, because of course everybody thinks they've got things figured out, but we have our own answers, and nothing is happening by accident or chance. We are manifesting these things to move through them to then discover the next thing. It wasn't in my plan to go through it, right? It just happened. But I answered your question, plus I added more. So sorry.
No, that's great. And actually that brought up a question that I was wanting to come back to, which I was curious, like, how much are people in the corporate world willing to accept? Because you said that they literally told you, well, I'm willing to accept that, I'm not really willing to accept that. And being a male, I know a lot of males tend to be more left brain, logical thinking, and I think I tend to be more right brain. And also being a Scorpio, it's a water sign, so very closely connected to the emotional energy. So I could connect all 5 of the things that you listed in terms of being empathic, even though I've never really thought of myself as being an empath. So out in corporate world, I know that things are shifting, but what do you find people are really willing to accept? Because we get into a lot of the deep metaphysics. I know you probably can't go into the deep end, but where would you find the average business person is these days?
Well, the average business person, I would say they've got most of their stuff together in a sense. They're not, if they have anxiety, if they have depression, if they have something, they could definitely get on the phone, get on with the doctor and take something, or they know they can go exercise. So they're doing things to help themselves. The average business person is going to take some of this stuff and it's going to sit in the back of their mind. And if they're in pain, really in pain, maybe they'll try energy healing. Maybe they'll dip their toe in it a little bit. So that's as far as I see the average business person really going. I think when it happens that they're thrown for a loop, like their life turns upside down and inside out, and they don't recognize their emotions, then that's the awakening experience. And then they'll come back to it and they'll look into it a little bit more. So, most of them, I think it's just about sprinkling a few seeds. That's about it. The ones that already know that they're intuitive, that already feel, and that already know that there's a silent struggle in the background for them, which, they keep out of the front seat. Nobody sees that. If I can put the words right to them, they will try a healing circle. They will call and talk to me. And they might get like one or two things that they could do to help themselves, and that'll be it, right? It's not till their world falls apart, which not all of them are going to go through this. Most of them are not. That they're going to be like, I've always been different. Please tell me what this is. Like, let me learn how to, it's almost like people learn through pain.
All right, we're going to need to pin in it right there because it looks like we're at the bottom of the hour. So we'll be going into a short break. During the break, if you want, you can go to empathevolution.com to check out Michelle's website. This is Spirit's Journey on Truth Frequency Radio and Oneness Talk Radio. See you on the other side.
You are now tuned into the Truth Frequency.
Your protection from deception. TFR.
Truth Frequency Radio.
Radio and Honest Talk Radio, and we are here today with Michelle Howe, who is an extraordinary evolutionary guide, an awakening speaker, and a master healer. So welcome back, Michelle.
Thank you.
And I wanted to pick up, there was a comment you made right before the break about people calling their doctor and getting a pill. And I was curious what your thoughts are with that, because what I find is a lot of times that medication, it seems to dull people and remove them from their intuitive connections and insights. So it might relieve them from some pain and suffering due to their empathic abilities. But in my experience, my approach has always been to help train people how to use their mind so that they can direct that energy productively instead of really succumbing to it. So I'm curious, what have you found?
Do you hear that in the background, Patrick?
Yes, I do.
You do? Yep. Do you know what that is?
Nope.
Hold on.
Might be a little bit of background interference, but we could just go ahead and...
Okay, no problem. I just want to make sure.
Should not be a problem.
Okay. So, what I would say is, in today's day and age, if you're struggling with anxiety, depression, overwhelm, you can't function day to day. So there's levels of how severe something is in your life. And I'm not a huge proponent of medication, but I know in my late 30s, I took care of myself. I did everything I was supposed to do. But yeah, I had this overwhelming anxiety. So it was like beyond me to figure out how to fix it. And at the time I went to the doctor, I was crying. It wasn't like a little thing that was wrong with me. I really was beside myself because here I was doing everything I knew how to do, and I still had this anxiety that was crazy. So the medication, although I didn't stay on it for very long, and I would say I would recommend not to go on medication, right? To learn to train your mind, to meditate, to find things to de-stress yourself, right? But if you find yourself in that position where you're really bad, if you get on medication for a little bit, it could take away the edge, and then you could wean yourself off of that as another option for you. Again, it wasn't I didn't at the time find that I didn't have an option. I had exhausted myself trying to find what else to do. And I was never like a pill person at all. So for me to go there and ask for that was out of character for me. And I remember like about, I want to say maybe a month or so afterwards, I remember looking at my husband and saying, oh my God, I said, is this how everybody else feels? Like, because I was so calm. And my husband used to actually call me on purpose to say something that might have triggered me before, and it didn't. And he's like, where's my wife? He's like, that's actually how odd that whole thing went. But I got a taste of what it was like to have my mind calm. Like I had never tasted it, because my head was always filled with thoughts and ideas and moving forward. I remember when we first dated, I'd sit next to him on the couch watching a movie. Okay, the movie commercial's coming on. I'm ready to talk about something. And my husband, I look at him and he's just sitting there. And I'm like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, how could you just sit there? And he's looking at me. Because that's how my brain, that's how much energy I had going through me all the time. Like I wasn't used to grounding myself. I never even heard of such a thing. I didn't hear about meditation. Meditation would have totally put me off, because it would have asked me to go from 120 miles an hour to 10. Like, so now I've got, so streamlining and bringing someone along to somewhere where they can be successful doing it. So it's almost like, for me at least, I needed to go through those steps and to get me to appreciate the meditation part of this. And I'm still not like great at it, but when I do it, oh my God, it's amazing. It's amazing if you were continually to do this every day and to make it a habit of it. Your life would totally slow down, not in a bad way, but slow down enough that you feel like you're directing your life. Life is not chasing you and you're trying to keep up with life. You're in charge. So, yeah.
So what was one thing that really helped you the most in terms of harnessing your mind?
Ooh, one thing that helped me the most. I think it was, I had a mentor that came into my life in the very beginning. He's still there, but not as much. And he challenged me. Instead of me pointing out all the time what was wrong with everybody or anything else, like, he challenged the way that I thought. So I had to really slow down and get even more introspective. And then I didn't know what energy actually even felt like. I knew I could hear energy and I could feel it maybe, but not the way that, other people talk about it exactly. I wasn't really confident in it. And at one point we did a healing together, and he's like, okay, and he's at a distance. He's in Europe, right? I'm going to show you what it feels like. And I'm like, well, good luck. This is me. Good luck. Let's see what this is. Because I always had this skeptical side to me. And sure enough, it was a really subtle experience. And because being around him and being connected to him was so relaxing, and like it modeled for me what it would be like that's what it feels like when you're in your body. That's what it could be for you as well. So that gave me a taste. So I think in total, what helped me is the people that have come into my life. If they can embody the vibrations that are higher level, I recognize it immediately. And then I have a a memory of what that is, and then I can ascribe to that. That becomes like my new desire. I want this. I know what this feels like. I know what this is. So I would say that's the biggest tool. Along the way, certainly I have played with and used essential oils or different crystals. I mean, gosh, I went through different periods of time when my husband's like, my God, Michelle, what are we doing with all these rocks in the house? And I'm like, don't they make you happy? And he's like, no. He goes, I don't understand. And I'm like, well, I like them. So I could feel into different things the same way that I could feel into people or feel into a space. I could feel into crystals. I could feel into music. That is like the beautiful part of being empathic. You have tools that can help you where others might think they're nothing, might not get much out of it at all. You've got more tools to deal with, to utilize in your life. So I guess that would be my answer. I mean, there's just been a lot of different things, but okay, I go back. Let me think about this again. Writing has been very helpful. Pausing and asking questions and speaking aloud has been very helpful. Those are the tools that have really helped me connect with spirit, connect with myself, reflect, transform, and follow something that's more empowering rather than something that's negative. What everybody else might be doing isn't the way that I look at life. So I try to teach my clients to step into their own genius, get their own answers, shift their own moods, and do things that just uplift them. And there's definitely like a place for that in our lives if we start becoming more interested in the inside and in ourselves, as opposed to, and not everybody is there. That's the thing. Most people are doing very much what everybody else is doing. Now, they're doing that right now and they're struggling because everybody around them is struggling emotionally with all of the changes that are in the air, in the drama, in the negativity, and the anger. So are they ready for all the things I'm talking about? Probably not. But they might take, 1, 2, or 3 things. And I always say, if people get a taste of what it feels like to be at a higher vibration, or what it feels like to uplift themselves and to open their heart, if they get a taste of that, they will want another taste and another taste and another taste. So there has to be something that sparks them to pursue it. Beyond I want to avoid this pain, I want to avoid this pain. They could be avoiding all this pain with a pill, but if they get a sense or they have an experience where they find that their life is beyond, it's awesome, they feel great, they're going to be like, sign me up for that. Sign me up for that. I think, at least. But we shall see, right?
Well, yeah, and Michelle, I think it was a great testimony to the power of surrounding yourself with the people that you want to be like, because of what you described, that, when you were around this healer teacher, you got a glimpse and you knew what it felt like. And somehow I believe that whenever we're around somebody, there's an imprint going on where they're imprinting their information on you and vice versa. And so I've noticed over the years, people who live alone, I think, have sometimes a difficulty progressing because they're just there with their own thoughts. I've seen people who live with other people who are not on the path and they get sucked down. So I think it's such a great testimony to really discern, who do you want to be around? And are those people that you would want to be like? Because whether we like it or not, we are influenced all the time by the people that surround us. And you talked about emotions, and obviously today we can all notice there's anger, frustration, fear is a big one. And I wanted to ask you, how do you see the emotions cloud our perception? Because as we know, there's one event going on right now, the big one we don't even have to talk about, and there's a million different perceptions about what it's about. And I think it's because we're all caught up in emotions. So how do emotions cloud the perception, and how do we get beyond them so that we have clear seeing?
Good question. Excellent. So we don't always, in a perfect world, we would choose every single person that's in our life. All right. In the real world, we surround ourselves. The people that are in our life are the people that we've attracted in some way, or we've allowed in there, and they're teaching us and we're teaching them. So technically everything is an attraction. You're attracted to one another. You're learning from one another. You're mirroring one another, or you're really clashing with one another. You're growing. All right. How do you deal with, what was your question again? How do you deal with the anger, frustration, and fear?
Yeah, all the different emotions that are clouding
how do
our
they
perception.
cloud? So the truth of the matter is that we are, emotions are energy in motion. Things are emotions can be high, like joy, and they can be heavy, like anger. They're really the whole full spectrum. And the biggest problem I have is that I see is that people don't know how to vocalize their anger, their frustration. They sit in it and they let it stew and they let it amplify and let it get bigger and bigger and bigger. If people could just step back. Okay, I have these emotions. You're entitled to your emotions. Every single one of us is entitled to our emotions. And we look at what those emotions are really saying. You're going to find that fear is usually behind it. Fear of loss, fear of change, fear of all kinds of things. So lately my thing has been, can we banish fear? How do we banish fear? How do we step outside of being angry, being frustrated? How do we make people value or just have that capacity to step back? You step back. You're not your emotions. You're feeling something. Sometimes they're not even your feelings. They're the feelings in the air. The collective is feeling all these feelings, and you're feeling them too. And guess what? You're watching the news, and they're sending those feelings out to you again. You're getting like infused from all these different areas, these feelings. And the only way, truly, is to stop reacting on your feelings. Stop reacting to them. Look at them. Talk to what the actual issue is, and get yourself settled and back in your body. Back centered in your body. Your normal is not anger. Your normal is not frustration. Your normal is not fear. If you're living in that, you have to take steps to move away from that, because that eventually will tear you down. Like, you really can't see anything when you're in the middle of those agitations. You're not safe and you're not secure. Nothing is going right when you're dealing with that much emotion in your body. So it comes back to that individual.
So the way you're talking, it sounds like everybody's got a certain degree of empathic abilities. I mean, is that true? Would you say that everybody is empathic to some degree?
I have actually said that everybody is an empath. Then I have to kind of roll back and say, well, maybe they're not an empath. Everybody feels. Everybody is impacted by the energies around us. All right. Not everybody is, this high-end empath that is absorbing, is able to uplift. No, other people are dealing with it. They don't know what to do with it. So if you are on an emotional path and you've got it figured out, you teach other people about what they can do so they don't have to live with anger. Who wants to live with anger? I mean, maybe some people feed off of it and some people love it, but I would say most people don't enjoy that. They don't want to be frustrated. They don't want to be afraid. So the thing is, how do we urge them or move them in a direction or advise them on what to do? When you're in an emotional state, you do nothing. You make no decisions. You wait till you're in a calm state to verbalize and make choices in your life. When you're in fear, when you're in anger, guess who's got control? Not you. Like, not you. You've got this craziness running through your body that's a huge agitation. Your nervous system is totally out of control. You cannot truly be you in that state. So although, it's passing through you, you've got to know enough to step back. Let's see what this is. Let me not throw this anger at this person, and this person. Now, the world, as you know it, a lot of people don't have that wherewithal to step back. It's the moment they feel something angry in them, they want to get it and throw it at somebody else. That's actually what happens. The energy kind of comes back up your body, and now you're throwing it out because you're not able to process it through your body and to ground it. You're not able, because you have emotional blocks in you. And that's the whole thing. When you have emotional blocks, things are going to trigger you. They're pain points. You have pain points in you, whether it's guilt, shame, blame, injustice, whatever it is, you've stuffed them away. You haven't talked about them. You haven't released them. You let it stew there, right? And then something comes up again. Oh my God, the anger is awake. And I've got to get this anger out and tell you how angry I am. Well, telling somebody how angry you are doesn't necessarily solve the anger. What solves the anger or the fear or the frustration is to kind of tune in, settle in, and calm yourself, acknowledge what it is and why it is, and now your logical mind or your guidance can come in to help you. I can case in point, there were times in my awakening that I was so angry. I was so angry that, and I wrote it all out, how angry I was. It didn't stop me from being angry. I mean, I went through a period of time where I was just angry. I didn't throw it at people, but it was there, and I was not having fun with it. So eventually that anger dissipated. And then as I started to shift who and what I was angry about and change my process to release it, to bring some kind of compassion to it, some kind of an understanding of what happened and why. And I'm not wrong, right? I'm not, don't make people wrong. Don't make yourself wrong. And then you move beyond it. You move through it. It's like you become a totally different person once you have chosen to truly look at something. So I agree, Kathryn. It's very, very hard to make any headway when you're in a highly charged emotional state, because you're not necessarily in control. The anger's in control. The frustration's in control. And it's not, so you've got to find an outlet for this, or at least have some kind of a frame of reference. Is this what I want to bring into, is this going to solve the problem? Is this anger does it feel good? Is it a good thing for me? It's an anger. I've got to look at it. So you've got to step back and look at it. So it's asking people to be introspective. And not everybody is comfortable in that space. People just want to lash out, thinking somebody else is going to solve something for them, but it's not the case. Nothing goes away until you look at it. Nothing. And it's not my job to look at your things. It's your job to look at your things. And maybe somebody can help you look at your things. And everybody's got their own things. And then the other part of this, I'm sorry, I'm kind of going on a little bit, but the other part of this is, how much of your things have you shared with your friend next to you, and now they become his things, and then he shares them with his friend, and then they become their things. Like, it becomes this amplification of anger, which is not truly, in my opinion, anger is not where it's at. It's, you want to make changes, you want to see changes, you feel strong about something. You use that anger to calm it down, and then you make a game plan of how you're going to step by step implement these changes without letting, the fire, it's a fire. Anger is like a fire, without letting the fire burn totally out of control. and burn everything down. So you want to use the fire to your benefit, right? So, yeah.
So I wanted to ask before we go, because we've got about 3 minutes here left. Yeah. I just wanted to ask about your program, Journey to Awakening, and also if you could just mention while you're talking about how people can reach you.
Yes. They can reach me at empathevolution.com. Also, you can send me an email at Michelle with 2 L's at empathevolution.com. On my website, there's a webinar people can listen to called Feelings, Truth, and Loving Your Life. And there's also, you can join my community. So they can definitely get a hold of me in that way. My Journey to Awakening program is an ongoing program where I take people through different modules and healings that go with those modules throughout the span of a year. And, people can call me and talk to me about it and what it means and what it costs. But at the end of the day, it's sharing the teachings that I know will transform your experience of life. It's strengthening who you are. It's giving you tools. It's helping you raise your vibration. It's helping you release emotional pain. It's balancing your male and your female. It's just, in total, what I see as what an empath needs to do is embrace their journey, because they are gifted. They do feel. And really the next thing to do is to step forward into what that means for them. If you're gifted, you're intuitive, you're a healer, you're there to share your message with the world, you're there to embody something so that your family can benefit. Like, the more you change your vibration, the different you show up different, you engage different, you impact your family, you impact your loved ones differently. And there's just, I can't say enough about what all of that is. Because once you get a taste of what it is, you want more. And then, every month I've been doing, since April started, we've been doing healing circles, which brings, it gives people an opportunity to see what it's like when you come together with others, and that fosters healing at physical, mental, and emotional levels. If you have, like me and Diane, we take turns, we facilitate these circles and guide people. Technically, they're guided meditations, but they're done live, and they're done in a circle where we are connecting in a more powerful way. And people's fibromyalgia is kind of lowering, their pain level comes down, they're connecting with their loved ones. They are just stunned at how much they're feeling a relief of the pain in their body, and how much they're connecting to spirit. And I don't know, I can't say enough about it, but it's a little taste of what this is.
That sounds fantastic. And Michelle, thank you for being on the show. We are coming to a close.
And everybody that's joined us today, we love having you with us. So please connect with us on Facebook at Spirits Journey Radio. Be sure to like our page so you're live and ours. This has been Spirits Journey live on Truth Frequency Radio, simulcast on One Talk Radio. I'm Patrick.
And I'm Kathryn. Have a great week. We will catch you next Saturday.